Our study is based in Tanzania. It's based specifically in the northwestern region of Kagera, and it's focused specifically on female heads of households. And we're interested in understanding the extent to which and the manner in which female household heads engage with the land market, whether as land buyers, land sellers, or renters. The study is both qualitative and quantitative, so we interviewed women who engaged with the land market in rural Kagera, and we also analyzed quantitatively survey data to understand how women interact with the land market. So households in rural Kagera access land through a variety of mechanisms. About half of the households have at least one piece of land that they have accessed through inheritance, so a very customary mode of access. But an even higher percent, about 62% of households, have at least one piece of land that they've accessed through the sales market. They purchased the land. Households also access land somewhat through rental markets, through borrowing arrangements that can take various forms. It's accurate to say that women have a much less secure access to land and a more tenuous land tenure security through within the customary system. For example, it's less common for women to inherit land relative to men, especially to inherit land from their fathers. This has to do with the way that women, at least in the Kagera region, they often move away from home for marriage. Another thing that's important to note about the comparison between female-headed households and male-headed households is that male-headed households access a much larger piece of land on average relative to female-headed households, about twice as large. But at the same time, female-headed households tend to be older. Their households tend to be smaller, so they have fewer mouths to feed. One key finding from the study is that female heads are less likely than male head of households to participate in the market as buyers or renters. There could be a few different explanations for this. For example, women may have less money, they may have less access to money with which they can purchase or rent in land. And another way of saying this is that if women have money, then the money that they have in their pocket is what matters much more than their gender. So if women are able to come to the market with money, it isn't an overriding gender restriction on their participation in the market. However, women may have a much more difficult time accessing money relative to men. They may have less engagement in income-generating activities, and something that we definitely heard in the interviews with women is that they are, through social norms, they are more responsible for their households, and so pretty much every time they have a small amount of money in their hand, it goes to serving the immediate needs of their families. Another finding from our study is that female-headed households use the land market to compensate for a small amount of land that they access through traditional mechanisms. If women were left with just a small amount of land, they turn to the market and are able to compensate by buying or renting in land. Female heads are less likely than male heads to participate in the market as sellers, and there may be different reasons for this pattern. They may simply have less interest in selling land, but the survey asked explicitly about the rights to sell land, and so we actually are able to to compare these self-reported land sales rights, or the rights to dispose of land. And it's very clear that while male-headed households are more likely to say that they can sell land, about 71% of male-headed households are able to sell a plot of land. Just 55% of female-headed households have a plot of land that they are able to sell. And in fact, the extent to which women can sell land varies depending on even whether they have sons or not. And so if a woman has sons in her household, she is much less able to sell land, and especially to sell land without, in an unrestricted sense, without needing the permission of anybody else. The extent to which women are able to sell land depends heavily on how they had accessed that land. If they purchased land independently, they are in a much stronger position to decide how they want to dispose of the land. If they want to sell it, they are able to, whereas if they accessed land through any other mechanism, even if they, along with their husband, had purchased the land together, but then they retained the land from their marriage after the marriage ended, they are much less able to sell that piece of land. So the rules around women's land market engagement are very nuanced. The survey did capture individual sales rights over plots of land, and so we're able to compare women who are spouses with women who are female heads of households, and we see that women who are spouses have much weaker rights to sell land compared to women who are the head of their own households. So what we conclude is that women face different restrictions on their participation in the market as buyers and sellers, and what we refer to as a split morality around participation in the land market, where it is frowned upon for women to sell land, but they are much more, it's much more widely sanctioned for women to be able to purchase land in the market.